What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 3 match in aABL Season 5, taking on my good pal Spanic at the Disco and the New York Rangers. We've played Spanic twice before on the channel, too. I believe I've uploaded all my matches with him, and he's a really cool dude. Has Elisa as his icon, so obviously you know. I don't actually know how he got the Black 2 avatar. I still have no idea where to find that on Showdown. I'd love to have that over the Black 1. And I think it'd be more intimidating to have the Black 2 avatar, just because I'm a big Elisa fan. For anyone who knows me on Discord, that's generally my profile picture is Elisa. She's 100% uh, best girl, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So, if you haven't seen the team builder, you should definitely check that out. I go really in depth about what I think Spanic's bringing, what I think he's not bringing. Unfortunately, most of that's thrown out the window because we see a Manaphy on our screen. What the hell? My dad's playing like super loud music in his room right above the office, which is where I do my recording. Okay, then. Gligar is really annoying because it means that my I mean, it's set up fodder for the Charizard, but it's the only thing standing in the way of my Charizard. But that's a problem. I brought coverage for it on pretty much everything though, so there's a lot of ways to work around that. Mega Lopunny is really annoying because I didn't bring Gourgeist. Seriously regretting bringing Gourgeist over the not bringing Gourgeist over the Zapdos now. Although Zapdos makes my life against the Manaphy quite easy. No webs is great to see. It means I don't have to worry about clicking T-Fog all that much. The Reuniclus could be really annoying. Nihilego, I'm really scared about a Scarf Nihilego. Salamence is probably Z. It's probably Z. It's either Z Salamence or Z Manaphy. Z Manaphy I can shut down because I think it would be status Z rather than like Z Rain Dance rather than offensive Z. But I'm just going to leave with the Nidoking because he looks like he doesn't switch into Nidoking very well. Earth Power, Ice Beam, and Sludge Wave just kind of demolishes a lot of this team. So we can just lead with the Nidoking. I can get up rocks if I have to, but he is going to lead with an Nihilego. And I thought that this was probably fine. Honestly, Nidoking just kind of claims one here. I don't really care if he goes Gligar or Salamence. I live a hit from both of them, and I can Ice Beam them both. Salamence cannot kill me with Earthquake because of all my bulk, and because of his speed tiers. I can run Modest Nidoking, which just makes my life so much easier against this team. So I'm just going to stay in turn 1 against the Nihilego and click Earth Power. I figure Psychic's probably coming out. I don't really have a better play than staying in. And so obviously we live the Psychic with our bulk and we just obliterate Nihilego turn 1. That's really great because that is one less Mon that can revenge kill my Charizard. It was basically between that and Scarf Salamence, and if I can get to +2, Scarf Salamence isn't revenge killing me anymore. Lopunny comes out. This is obviously a threat, and I'm going to go into my Zapdos here as he is going to click Quick Attack. And what does this tell us? All right, so first off, the Quick Attack damage shows that this is Adamant Lopunny. I expected it to be Adamant because of my speed tiers anyways, but it does confirm my suspicions that it is Adamant, which means it's probably not running all that much bulk. Adamant Lopunny still has to run quite a bit of speed to outspeed Alolan Persian, so it probably doesn't have a ton of bulk on it. Secondly, he went for Quick Attack, which means to me it screams that he was scouting to see if I was Scarf Nidoking or not, or just covering the play of me being Scarf Nidoking. That also tells me that the Nihilego was definitely Scarfed because he clicked Quick Attack there. Tells me the Nihilego was definitely Scarfed. We don't get the Static Para with my Zapdos here, and I'm just going to click Discharge here, I think, or I click Roost, Discharge. Okay, so we started to get to scout some damage on the Reuniclus there. That is max HP Assault Vest Reuniclus, so it's good information to find out as well. As I'm just going to go to my Persian, and he shows the knockoffs again. Confirming my suspicions of this being AV. Because of that, I think he's probably regen, and I'd like to get a Toxic on something. Gligar is not going to come in because he's probably going to anticipate a knockoff of my own. So I'm just going to go for the Toxic here, and we're going to catch the Manaphy, which is really cool. I'm going to taunt this thing just in case it's a setup variant. I don't want it setting up at all, as he's going to show U-turn. Now, this is really strange, because now I'm like, alright, so this is like a supportive Manaphy now, which is kind of weird. Doesn't really have a matchup against Triple Grass as support Manaphy or my Triple Water. He told me a set after the game, this Manaphy set is completely hard-walled by half my team. It's hard-walled by all 3 of my Grass types and all 3 of my Water types. Except for Bomb of Snow, which U-turn hits super effectively, and Slowking. But, excuse me, in what world is U-turn offensively threatening those when it's not an attack-invested Manaphy? So, yeah, this Manaphy is basically garbage against my team. It's Rest Talk, Scald, U-Turn. It's not doing anything against me. But my Persian is going to bait in the Lopunny here. I'm going to go to my Zapdos. I know I don't really eat a return, but if I can get lucky, and I do, then I put myself in a good situation. So the static para really sucks for him because it means I can roost on this Lopunny now. I'm a max speed Zapdos. I'm max HP, max speed. So I can roost on the Lopunny and pray for Paraturds. And honestly, that's just what I'm going to do. He went for the quick attack there. I looked like I was maybe potentially not out of range. It looked like he low rolled me a little bit on the quick attack. Could have been his way to get around the roost, but I'm just kind of praying for a full para here. He hasn't actually gotten full parried, so it's really only speed control that I have that on there for, as Reuniclus comes in on another turn that I roost. So I've blown a bunch of roosts and the Reuniclus is in now. Obviously Persian's my switch into this. It doesn't have to be, knowing that it's not a setup variant anymore, but it's my best play to just switch into a Psychic. And so he's going to predict that, and he's going to go for the Focus Blast, and he's going to hit, which kind of sucks, because then we lose our Persian. I could have taunted the Gligar from getting up rocks, but instead I'm going to go to my Zard and set up a Dragon Dance in his face. I know it can't touch me, and I've got Roost on the Zard. So now I'm +1, Gligar's in. Obviously, this is kind of the one thing that can deal with Zardex on his entire roster. He had nothing else that could handle Zardex. And this is the one thing. I'm anticipating an Earthquake. I've EV'd this Zard to not get two-shot by Gligar Earthquake from uninvested Gligar Earthquake. So I'm just going to Dragon Dance again. I need +2 to speed a potential Scarf Ments anyways, as he's going to show off the Toxic. So kind of sucks. Puts me on a timer now, and I kind of, instead of setting up like I would want to, I really just have to go for... I have to break with Zardex right now. So I'm just going to lock in Outrage, and we're going to very easily two-shot this Gligar as he's going to get up rocks on me. Gligar just drops, and then hopefully we can take something else out with another Outrage as I get a 3-turn Outrage. Manaphy Choose, because I'm running no attack investment, and Scald isn't going to kill me because I'm max HP. So now here, he told me he clicked Rest this turn. It's not going to end up mattering because I'm not going to hit myself in Confusion. I went for Outrage again because it was my better play if the Salamence wanted to come in on an Earthquake. There's no real reason for him to consider me going for Earthquake at all, but it was definitely a play he could make. So here, he's still skeptical of me being Scarfed. I'm Life Orb, but he's skeptical of me being Scarfed. And so this also tells me he's not Scarf Salamence, based on him switching here into the Reuniclus. Tells me it's probably Dragon Dance, and I make a misplay, and I'm going to go for damage on the Reuniclus instead of going for Rocks. I should have clicked Rocks there. It would have been better against Reuniclus later, getting the chip after the regen. It would have been better to get a little bit of extra chip on the Lopunny, 25% on the Salamence, rather than just blowing damage into this AV Regenerator Reuniclus. That was a misplay that might end up costing me later in the game. What I'm going to end up having to do here is go into my Diggersby. It's the only thing that can kill this outright at that range, and I'm going to obliterate this Lopunny. I don't want to take the quick attack, though, so I'm going to go into my Zapdos on the Drain Punch, actually. So he ends up going for the Drain Punch rather than the quick attack for damage against the Diggersby, which I felt was really strange. And I'm just going to go for a Discharge, try and kill off the Lop. He makes the pivot play into the Reuniclus just to get more health back, and then goes into Lop and sacks it off. Here's going to go into the Salamence with, Reuniclus, and I'm going to play some Discharge games. Scout the Psychic damage a little bit. Psychic, it's not doing enough to me that it's going to matter all that much unless he gets Spit F drops. I can always recover more because of leftovers, and he's not going to make the knockoff play for a while, but this is kind of, it's kind of solid here between my Zapdos and the Reuniclus. I'm just trying to roost stall him out of Psychics because then he can't actually beat my Keldeo, and Keldeo could just win the game, but he's going to go Salamence on this roost. So I'm a really healthy Zapdos, and he's in with Salamence. I'm going to go for the HP Ice here as he's going to step a DD. And here's where things get interesting. So he told me he's actually Z and not... he was Lumberry and not Z. I'm going to go for the Discharge because it's my best play to just kill the Salamence or get damage off from the Reuniclus. But he's going to fire off an Outrage here, and it's going to do a lot of damage. I figured he was Jolly. He basically has to be Jolly. Adamant would have killed me every single time. And so we lived there. It was a roll in my favor, heavily in my favor, actually, to live that. It was like 31% chance for him to kill me with the Outrage, +1 Outrage. And so now I'm going to be able to get up to a range where I can deal with this Reuniclus. Now, my game plan with this Reuniclus at the end of the game here, this thing can still absolutely beat me. It's got no way of recovering now because it can't switch in and out, but my Diggersby is doing like 50% to it, so this is a little bit sketchy. He finally wastes a turn and goes for the knockoff, which is actually huge for me because it means I can get 2 discharges off on the Reuniclus, and that's what I was going for. I really need the damage, and now that I get the parrot with the discharge, it's even better because potentially if he gets full parrot here, I can win the game 2-0. He's going to show off his last move, which is Shadow Ball. I expected that. It seemed most likely for something like Gourgeist, otherwise Gourgeist can stall this thing out as well. Is relying on Focus Blast pretty heavily on against a lot of stuff. Slow King, same thing. Excuse me. But because I didn't bring the Banded Glycepod like I was talking about in the team builder, I'm not going to end up dealing with that. I needed both of those discharges off. I definitely win this game. It's either going to be a 2-0 or 1-0 depending on if he gets full parried here. I'm going to go for Surf, which is guaranteed damage against the Reuniclus to put it in range of return. And obviously I would have 2-shotted if he got parried, but he didn't. And so I'm going to get my Diggersby to finish off the game here. And we're going to pick off a nice 1-0 win against Spanic and the New York Rangers. Once again, I hacked Spanic to a loss. Obviously, the para on the Lopunny mattered a lot just for speed control. I paralyzed the Lopunny and the Reuniclus. They didn't get fully paralyzed at all, so the paralysis was only useful for speed control. I think this is the first time ever that I've tried to paralyze things with that Zapdos set, and it hasn't worked out that I've gotten a free turn out of it. So, that's all well and fine. The Nidoking, he definitely suspected the Nidoking was Scarfed. I was Scarf Keldeo, though. And so he played around my Nidoking being Scarfed early game, obviously with the quick attack play and switching out with the Salamence there. I do think it was definitely a misplay not just going for rocks straight up, because that would have put the Salamence in a range where he couldn't get a Dragon Dance off against that Zapdos. HP Ice would have killed it. I believe he lived on... Where is it? How much did this do? Yeah, so it did 77. So the Salamence would have died to the HP Ice outright, and he wouldn't have been able to get up a Dragon Dance, which then gives me 3 discharges against the Reuniclus, depending on how much damage he does to me with a neutral Outrage, if that's what he went for or whatnot. So I definitely should have got Rocks up because it would have put me in a better position differential-wise against that. It also would have cucked the Reuniclus on switch in because it was taking another 12%, and that was like key damage in determining if after I sacked my Zapdos, if I should go into Keldeo or Diggersby. I decided to go into Keldeo because I still wasn't confident that it wasn't physically defensive AV Reuniclus. I was not confident about that. It turned out to be offensive AV Reuniclus. It was max special attack. But that's kind of just where my head was at. Yeah, again, before the game, I was really confused about why the Manaphy came. I'm still really confused about why that Manaphy came. It was a very strange Manaphy set. It had really no place in this game at all. I talked to him a little bit about it after the game, but we never really came to a conclusion about the Manaphy. In my mind, that was kind of strange. The Lopunny, I regret not bringing the Gourgeist for, but Zapdos ended up putting up a lot of work, and it gave me the speed control necessary against the Lopunny later on. I'm sad about the Toxic Gligar, because Charizard could have just ripped through this team. If it wasn't Toxic, it would have just straight up one-shot basically anything at that point, although I'm really surprised that the Manaphy lived a +2 Outrage. That's kind of what happens when your opponent doesn't draft a Fairy. It's easy to just run really strong Dragon attacks, and Dragon's neutral against a lot of the metagame. It's only resisted by Steel, I believe, and his Steel type is Aggron, which didn't end up showing up. So next week we take on Shuckle King, and the Philadelphia Absol most likely is going to be our hardest match of the season. But we're currently 3-0 plus 8. So I'm looking to sort of stay undefeated. At the moment, he's 2-0. He's probably going to be 3-0 at the end of this week. I think Shuckle King is the hardest opponent in the division. In the entire league. I think he's the hardest opponent that we have. And so it'll be interesting to go up against him. We've actually got a few weeks in a row here that are pretty difficult. I would say Spanic's difficult opponents. We had Spanic, Shuckle King, Ant-Man. Ant-Man is... pretty difficult. He's got a fairly bulky team. It's a really all-around decent team. And then we've got Joe Pick, who's on a roll too. He's 3-0 as well. Before we start getting into maybe some of the reasonably easier opponents at the end of the season here. To an extent, I should say. But yeah, we take on Shuckle King next week, so keep an eye out for that. And we'll catch you guys for that match.